sports all plays. Whole sports all plays.
Rebel soul child got a fist ball, I'm a respawn of ancestors, and I'm blessed, They are not him, tell him fess up, I get check stub, hella carefree, nothing scares me, hella reckless, yeah, I got next up, right, no we not the same, cause see when I look in your iris, you likely to talk but not ready to ride, you do better keeping it quiet, my pen is ignited, my soul is enlightened, I like who I am but I'm biased, the palette is right, and my drip is a fountain, I'm not like these regular guys, all of that talk is misguided, she like the way I make the tape print, but the way I make the words play is grim, I'm the reaper reaching for the kill switch, the label cut the check like the blazement, something sparking where his brain is, the beat is somewhere where they prayers in, Geronimo the way I make the bass jump when no parachute is tasting.
Hello, what's going on, everybody? How y'all doing today? Just got back from the ASU game. I answered a lot of questions tonight. Great performance by ASU, defeating NAU 40-3. As you could tell by the score, if you can't, ASU was in control from the opening jump. The one thing that I noticed early on were, them not being collective together, that opening day jitters, a lot of new players on the team as well. There was a lot of penalties early on that ultimately let NAU kind of hang around in the first half. In reality, they should have been blown out from the very jump. The one thing that I really picked up from this game was Emery Jones. That was one of my major questions going into this game, how we would fare at the quarterback position. Again, we've talked about Jaden Daniels leaving in the transfer portal, headed over to LSU. And then, of course, coincidentally, Emery Jones enters the transfer portal and heads over to ASU. So with that being said, coming into this game, that was one of the spots that I was going to be paying attention to a lot, was how Emery fared with the ASU offense. And really, right out the gate, the one thing that I noticed is how accurate of a passer Emery was. I didn't see a lot of overthrown balls. I didn't see a lot of balls put in spots where the receivers had to really do a lot to go out there and get the catch. The balls were put in the catch pockets. The balls were on time. He had great reads throughout the game, and he was very accurate. He finished the game 13 for 18, 152 yards. He averaged 11.7 yards per pass and didn't have any interceptions. Granted, he didn't throw a touchdown pass either, but he also picked up, he had 11 rushes for 46 yards with a 4.2 rushing average and 2 touchdowns. So, besides the end of the second quarter, there was a sack fumble on Emery. Besides that blemish, it was a perfect game from my eyes from Emery. He only threw 5 incompletions out of 18 attempts. It's just all around good game by him. So I really liked how he debuted. Again, we do know this is the NAU defense. This is not, Oklahoma State, who we do have coming up next week, which is going to be a huge test. Will really let us know early on what this team is going to be capable of. Seeing that we do have Oklahoma State next week, it was good that we opened up the season against an NAU to get those first game jitters out, and shake those arms out, get the blood rushing prior to going to Oklahoma, because that's going to be a ball game. The other thing that I noticed is that I really, really, really liked was Valladay. I think pronounce his name. They pronounce his X, Xavier. I'm gonna get that right before the end of the season. But Valladay went off. And for the people that don't know who Valladay is, he came from Wyoming through the transfer portal again. That's why, if you watched my pregame, I said, the transfer portal definitely did us in. But we can't be too upset about it. We did get Valladay. We did get Emery Jones. We got Joey Ramos. We got Messiah Swinson. We got a lot of players that are really going to take um, really going to show themselves and show out for ASU football this year that we received from that transfer portal. Valladay was one of them. There was numerous times Valladay broke for 20 plus yards. He had a 28-yard was his longest run. He had 2 touchdowns at a 7.4-yard average, and he went over 100 yards, having a ring it in 119 yards. Nagata was doing his thing as well. He had 9 attempts for 57 yards on a 6.3 average, and he had a 29-yard run. That was the big thing. Charles Hall even went in and gave us a 22-yard run out of the backfield as well. So even White chipped in. He had 8 rushes for 28 yards and a 3.5 average. So our running game really, 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 really stormed the field today. A total of 4 rushing touchdowns from the offense, and that's something we gotta love as Sun Devil fans. Coming out here, the past couple of years, we've had that Jaden Daniels and looking for those wide receivers to do a lot on our offense. But if we got, we can go back to the last year of Eno when we had Harris, Nikhil, and then we had Eno out there. If we can get a 1-2 punch going like that, or even our running game, doing what it did today, we're gonna go a long way. We got a chance to really do something, and that's what at the end of the day we're hoping for. Let me see here, pull it up, because like I said, this schedule is we're gonna know by our week 7, by the bye week, what this team is made of. 40-3 today in the home opener. We travel to Oklahoma to play Oklahoma State next week on the 10th on Saturday at 4:30. That's going to be a game. After that, we go to Eastern Michigan. That should be a winnable game. And then we got Utah, USC, and Washington before we hit our bye week. So by week 7, before we travel to Stanford, we should know what this team is capable of. We should know what to expect through that second half of the season, definitely by week 7. So, one note: Joey Ramos did go down. That was another guy that we received in the transfer portal. He did go down with the injury, got rolled up on the line of scrimmage. Looked like a pretty painful injury to say the least. But to end the first half, ASU ended the first half with 107 total yards of offense, holding NAU to 51 yards. Again, Emery was 6 for 8. But the biggest thing was ASU had 10 penalties in the opening quarter. Emery Jones had 60 yards passing on 6 completions in the first half. But that number 10, that really sticks out to me. Again, I'm hoping it was just first game jitters. Sorry, timed out for a second. But yeah, so the other thing was that defense of ASU was something else that I was kind of paying attention to going into this game to kind of see what they were going to look like. And one of the major things, they held NAU to just 51 total yards of offense in the first half. The start of the second half was the first time, that first possession at the start of the second half was the first time NAU had even touched Sun Devil territory. Um, Again, the ASU is going back to this penalty situation. The start of the second half, NAU threw an interception that was negated by, a offsides penalty. And then you had a 15-yard face mask by number 9. I forget his name at the top of my head at the moment. So there was a few situations where those penalties really, really hurt us, really slowed us down. I mean, we could have probably put up 56, 60 points minus those penalties. Negated at least 2 turnovers. So if we can get those type of things controlled, under control by next week, going into Oklahoma State, we can run the ball the way we did, and then on top of that, have Emery Jones protecting the ball the way he did. We should have a chance because our defense looks tough. They look stout. We'll see them against, Oklahoma State. The speed on the field is going to be totally different than this game we played against NAU. So, that's going to be something we definitely are going to have to pay attention to going in. And also, how is Emery Jones going to fare against a defense the caliber of Oklahoma State? Again, the speed on the field is going to be totally different. The speed on the defense is going to be totally different. Is he going to be able to stay as accurate? Especially with the pass rush probably getting in the backfield a little bit more than we've seen today at NAU as well. You know, um, that was the other thing. They did start out slow on offense, like I said. A lot of that had to do with penalties in the first half, but going into the second half, they really turned it on. The After the first drive NAU had, they fumbled the snap on a field goal, and then ASU went into the driver's seat. Emery Jones led the team down the field. Um, he ended up getting stopped at the 1 yard line. Official review stopped it at the 1. He ended up punching it in for a 1 yard quarterback sneak. Then NAU came out. They were 3 and out. The second possession of the second half, Hall rushed for 22 yards. Valladay ended up with a 4 yard touchdown run after they accepted a 15-yard penalty for targeting on Jones in the backfield after he got that pass off. So there's a couple other things there. I mean, one thing that I did notice that is once we got that momentum, especially the start of the second half, we came out with a totally different fire on offense, and we went in, and that was what I was expecting from us to come out of the gate. But looking back at it, I am glad that Emery took his time, calmed down, and really ate that defense up. Like I said, I mean, before I think he had 2 of his first 4 or 5 passes were incompletions, and he didn't miss another pass for the entire first half. So, the end result, my take on the game, Emery Jones, um, we're in good hands. We're in good hands. I loved Jaden while he was here. I really liked the style of quarterback he was. Um, but watching Emery out there moving around in the field, scrambling the way he was, and again, I'm gonna keep saying it, the accuracy that he displayed. It wasn't just that there was only 5 drop passes; it was where the balls were being placed for these receivers. Um, they didn't have to work too hard to make these plays and extend the game, and that's what your quarterback. I mean, yeah, stats are going to be stats, but where is that ball being placed? What is he doing to make it easier for his receivers to get that in stride and take it upfield? And those are the situations, those are the little things that are going to put us over the top, that are going to be able to allow us to beat the Oklahoma States, allow us to go out and beat USC, allow us to travel to Utah, allow us to travel to Washington, to Stanford, Colorado. I think we had to travel over there this year and beat these teams. So I can't wait. Again, Just to rank it off for you guys, the ones that just catch it in. Emery Jones, 152 yards passing, 11.7 yard average. He did have 2 rushing touchdowns on 46 yards rushing. X Valladay, 119 yards rushing, a 7.4 yard rushing average with 2 touchdowns as well. Again, Messiah Swinson, another guy that was really on my radar. I believe he came from Mississippi or Ole Miss, one of the two. Another guy we got in the transfer portal. He really stuck his head in the game today, made his claim on the team, and made his name known. I mean, he had 3 receptions. He was only targeted 3 times. He caught all 3. He had 50 yards, a 16.7 catch average or yard average per catch. And that's beautiful to see coming out of the tight end position. If we can get those type of guys, to do 30, 50 yards a game and still have our running game the way it is, it's going to be hard to really stop us. It really is, going forward. But outside of that, our defense really played stout all the way through. I believe Sully had an interception. There was a couple of nice defensive plays. Edmonds had an interception. So the defense played well as a unit. The offense played well as a unit, and the guys that we had questions about gave us some answers today. So I don't want to get too excited headed into week 2 against Oklahoma State, but this was nice to see, guys. This was nice to see, especially with all the turmoil, especially with all the questions over the offseason and everything that we've seen. I will say after game 1, it does look bright. But again, we will talk next week on Saturday as we travel to Oklahoma to play the Oklahoma State Raiders. I mean, it's gonna be a game. It's definitely going to be a game you don't want to miss at all. Oklahoma State is ranked 12th currently. They played, who did they play last week? They played Central Michigan last week, beat them 58-44. So again, the Cowboys of Oklahoma, Sanders last week, 406 passing yards with 4 touchdowns. So right there, right off the bat, they're going to be throwing that ball around. We're going to be relying a lot on our secondary and our pass rush there to keep us in this ball game. We don't want to get in a shootout with the Cowboys. So again, next week, ASU travels to Oklahoma to play the Sooners. We end the home opener with a win against NAU, 40-3. And again, I will see you guys next week. Thank you for tuning in for another episode of ASAP Arizona. And we will be covering ASU all year long. Chime in. We should have some ASU players on here and there, interviews now and then. So stay tuned. We'll be back to you guys next week.
Yeah, check this out, man. It's your boy, Young Dro. I'm in the building with ASU'S Sports, man. If you ain't here, you ain't nowhere, man. As soon as possible, get here. You dig?
Shanig, man. Fucking with ASAP Sports Network, man. Tune in, stay logged in, and stay mouthed in. You dig? Yuck mouth. Yada da. Boy!
Whole sports all plays. Whole sports all plays.
Rebel soul child got a fist balled. I'm a respawn of ancestors, and I'm blessed, They are not him, tell him fess up. I get check stub, hella carefree, nothing scares me, hella reckless. Yeah, I got next up, right? No, we're not the same, cause see when I look in your iris, you likely to talk but not ready to ride. You do better keeping it quiet. My pen is ignited, my soul is enlightened. I like who I am, but I'm biased. The palette is right, and my drip is a fountain. I'm not like these regular guys. All of that talk is misguided. She like the way I make the tape print. but the way I make the words play is grim. I'm the reaper reaching for the kill switch, the label cut the check like the blazeman. Something sparking where his brain is, the beat is somewhere where they prayers in. Geronimo, the way I make the bass jump with no parachute.